Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Carp. I'm Steve Carpenter, Sports Information Director at Hutchinson Community College, and your host for this podcast. We started Conversations with Carp in hopes of keeping Blue Dragon Nation in touch with our teams and coaches during the coronavirus pandemic, and we are hoping you are enjoying these podcasts. We've had some nice feedback and are very appreciative that you are taking some time each day to stay in touch with the Blue Dragons. Today, my guest for Conversations with Carp is Chris Young, the head coach of the Blue Dragon men's golf team. Chris, thanks for taking some time to spend with us today.
My pleasure, Carp. Anytime I get to spend with you, time well spent.
We were just shy of me kind of jumping back into it. I've been the league's official scorer for, actually, Chris, I've lost track of how many years I've done it now. So, but you and I get to spend a lot of spring Mondays and Tuesdays together.
Yeah, it must be going on about 10 years, if I'm guessing.
At least. And
yeah.
It's one thing that I've always enjoyed. Men's golf in the Jayhawk Conference is pretty special. And this season was really shaping up for the Blue Dragons, Chris, to be something special. Ranked 3 and 4 in both of the major polls that track Division I junior college men's golf. But this season was just really, and I haven't gotten to see the team yet, had a chance to be very special.
Yeah, it really did. We started out with 8 guys on the team, and we ended up with 5 for different reasons. A kid got sick and went home. A kid ran out of money from South Africa and went home, and a kid didn't show up for whatever reason. So we ended with 5 this semester, but I think we had the right 5. We had a couple of kids from Kansas, and then a couple of kids from out of the country, and they just kind of meshed real well together. And we got to play against all the Jayhawk schools this year in different tournaments other than Dodge City. And, I felt like our team was one that was going to compete well against those other schools in our conference and have a really good chance of winning a conference title and a Region 6 title and really having a good chance at possibly winning the District 3. In golf, there's 4 districts in the United States. It's kind of a little different than some of the other sports, but our district is all of the Kansas schools with the Iowa schools, and both Iowa schools have been predominantly pretty good in the past. Indian Hills has won a few national championships, and we played against them twice this year, and we beat them both times. So I felt like our team was in a position to finish pretty well in the postseason and set us up for the national tournament with some good pairings in the first and second days. And for unfortunate reasons that didn't happen for us. And we just got to look for the positives in this and come out better on the other end.
So you had one spring meet in that happening down in Texas before word came down that the season was first suspended and then ultimately canceled, with especially with the sophomores. And I'm really thinking of Charlie Crockett in particular. That had to be a tough conversation for you to tell the team that it was over.
Yeah, and for every sport it's different. Obviously the men's and women's basketball team were at the end of theirs, and the women qualified for the national tournament and did get to go play in that, and that's unfortunate for them. But for us, we were just kind of getting started, and everything was still exciting for us. And we played in the Lubbock Christians event, and Charlie went there and he won that event. He shot 7 under for 3 rounds, and was his 3rd win in 6 tournaments this year, and was really on track to, we'll find out in a week or so if he's being All-American again. I think they're looking at announcing the all-district teams within the next week, and then a week after that they'll announce the All-Americans. But, coming home from that tournament, we kind of talked about everything that was going on. It was on the perimeter, and what if? And so we got back on a Tuesday night, and I said, okay, we're going to take tomorrow off, and we're going to just kind of find out what's going on. And nothing really happened, so we practiced Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and then I said, okay, we'll get back together on Monday, and we'll figure out what's going on. Well, Monday we I think it was that Sunday night we had a coaches meeting, and we kind of were all trying to get on the same page. And the next day we decided that the season wasn't going to happen for Hutchinson Community College. So my first call was to Charlie and Nate. Both of those kids are sophomores and they're moving on, and their parents were calling them, and moms wanted them home. Nothing better is going on in the UK, but just to have your family all under the same roof. I understood that. And so as soon as we found out that we weren't going to have a season, those kids were getting flights home, and one got home on Tuesday and one got home on Thursday, the 17th and 19th of March. But as soon as we found out we weren't having a season, I took those guys out for a cup of coffee and kind of sat down with them and talked about what this meant for their future. And, at that time, the NCAA hadn't officially said that everybody was going to get another year, and the NAI did it after the NCAA did it, and then just last Friday, the NJCA decided that they're going to grant all their spring sports an extra year. So we kind of talked about the what ifs, and told them they're both welcome to come back if they wanted to, and they're both kind of in different positions. Charlie signed at Wichita State, and Wichita State was going to take great care of him, and he has to have some funds to be able to come over here and play. And Nate signed at Texas A&M Commerce, and they were going to take care of him really well too. And then my other sophomore, Peyton Austin, Peyton has decided that he is going to try to. Not really turn pro, but he's going to try to Monday qualify for the Corn Tour, and his family's in a place where he can afford to do that, I guess. So I kept in touch with, we've been trying to keep in touch with all of our kids, and Charlie has made the decision that he is going to come back to Hutch CC for another year. He's been released from his LOI at Wichita State just 2 days ago. It became official. And he's going to come back and, maybe try to improve a couple of grades. And then him and I kind of talked about, okay, have you finished everything that you wanted to do here? No, I know it got cut short, but here's a chance. I kind of read him his goals about how he wanted to be a national champion. He wanted to do this. He wanted to do that. And he hadn't reached all those goals. And we talked about, this is more of an opportunity for him maybe than it is a setback, because he can parlay his accomplishments and maybe come up with even a bigger and better, place for him to go. Not that Wichita State's a bad place, because that's a great place to go play golf, and Judd does a great job with those kids over there, and he's going to have a great program down the road. But and that still might be the place where Charlie ends up. But Charlie, he's ranked 10th in JUCO at this time, and 7 of those top 10 players are leaving, and we kind of looked at all of that, and, if he can come back and be a top 5 player or maybe the best player in junior college, who knows where he might be able to go play golf someplace and maybe turn that into, becoming a tour player someday. So that's kind of, I talked about those things with both Charlie and Nate, and Charlie has decided to come back, and Nate is in a kind of a different position because Nate's getting a full ride at Texas A&M Commerce, and he can't afford to take that chance of not getting that money a year from now. So he's going to stay there. So that's understandable for him as well.
You bet. Now we talk about Charlie Crockett. What an exceptional freshman year. The Phil Mickelson National Freshman of the Year in 2019. He was Jack Nicklaus National Player of the Year finalist, which is a first for Blue Dragon men's golf history. Tee to green, he might be the best I've ever seen in all the years that I've worked with you with the golf team, Chris. Obviously Grady Pauls was awfully consistent, and he was great tee to green and on the green. But you mentioned that Charlie really has an opportunity to go places in this game. His freshman year really showed that.
It did, and he kind of is learning how to get out of his own way. With the national tournament last year, he just kind of put so much pressure on himself because he had a great year, and he had been named the Mickelson Award winner, and he was a finalist, and all those pressures, he wanted to go there, and he wanted to perform so badly that, and he didn't play poorly. He just just couldn't get over the hump. I think he shot even and won over the first 2 rounds, and then he shot a couple under the 3rd round. And there was an unfortunate thing that happened with him signing an incorrect scorecard, so he got disqualified. But it just in golf, in college golf, that just means you're disqualified for that round and not the entire tournament. So your score can count the next day, and the next day he comes out and he shoots a 6 under. So once he was to the point where he just relaxed, and he said, it didn't really matter anymore for him as far as him finishing high in the national tournament. He just helped the team the next day. You saw what a great player he was with the comeback. I think he was 7 under, birdie 3 through 16 holes that day, and just a great freshman year, and came into this year as a returning first-team All-American on the ping side of things, and we played in 6 events, and he'd won 3 of them. So he is just one of those kids that has it. I call it, and there's not a lot of those kids that have it where they can just turn it on in a tournament setting, and you don't know what it is, but he's got it, and he's a special player. He really is. I just got off the phone did an interview with Rob Dreher for the Coach's Corner this Monday night, and he was kind of asking me about my Mount Rushmore of JUCO golf here at Hutch CC, and he kind of gave me a heads up, and I started thinking about all the players that I had. Obviously Charlie and Grady were my top 2 guys on there, and then I started thinking back. I would have to maybe put Ben Cotton on there too. Ben was a great ball striker. Tee to green, he was fantastic on the greens. He wasn't as good as other people are that I've had. But then I went all the way back to my first season, and a kid by the name of Matt Stone, kind of turned things around. And then I talked about Chase Coble possibly being on there because he was. He finished 12th. He led the national tournament after the first round. Was a 2-year player here, and he just a great kid, and he did a lot of good things for our school, I think. And then he was here with Dak Shaw, and so we kind of talked about a bunch of old guys. And then you just start thinking about my first couple of international kids. I had Nikki Madison from Newcastle, and Dale Middleton from Coventry, both those kids from England. So you just brought back a lot of memories. But, Charlie and Grady have got to be the top 2 guys on that list for sure.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I'm thinking, I'm racking, Ty Way. I mean, I'm racking through all kinds of names in Blue Dragon golf floor. Now, this is, you just completed, it should still be going, but you just completed your 20th season, which means you are the longest tenured head coach, but you've got a little more time than 20 years at Hutchinson Community College. You were also an assistant women's coach under Rob Edmondson's staff back. So tell us how all that transpired to go from a women's basketball assistant, and you were also an assistant at University of Nebraska. How did all that transpired into you becoming the men's golf coach?
Well, I did coach women's basketball at the University of Nebraska from 93 to 97, and Rob was the coach at Hutch CC at the time, and he would always come up to the Nebraska State Tournament and come into the offices and talk to us, and kind of doing his networking. I got to meet him, and I sat and watched a couple of basketball games with him, not knowing that I was going to end up in Hutchinson, Kansas at all, but just kind of befriended me, and we kind of stayed in touch and this and that. And as my wife graduated from dental school and did her residency, we ended up in Hutchinson, Kansas somehow. And I taught school for a year at Nickerson High School, but Rob was the coach here still. And I kept in touch with him, and I made it known to him that, if he ever had a spot open, that I'd be very interested in helping him out and that type of thing, and trying to work my way up at Hutch JUCO, I guess. And after my first year at teaching at Nickerson, I just had gotten the head boys basketball job at Nickerson High School. Dan Devine was the head coach at the time. I was there the first year, and he resigned, and I was hired there. And I'd already had basketball camps and did all the summer stuff. And at the end of the summer, then Rob had an opening, and I came over and did that. And then obviously the golf went with the basketball at that time, and I was doing both. And then they split the jobs up, and I went with the golf because I had 3 young kids at home, and I was, while you're doing both, you were gone a lot. But when you had your choice to be recruiting 2 nights in a week, playing 2 nights a week, so you're gone 4 nights a week from your family, and obviously that was a stress on anybody's family. So it was just easier to do the golf, and quite honestly, it's, I really enjoy it. My first love was basketball, and probably still is, but golf is give me an avenue to meet a lot of neat people, and there's nothing like managing 18, 19, 20-year-old boys and getting, I have boys, and my kids are boys, and so keeping me young and listening to their I don't know how you want to say, dumb stories, I guess, in the band, and trying to parent them the way that you'd want your kids to be parented by somebody, I guess. So that's kind of how it ended up. And Rob gave me a chance with Coach Stang back 20 years ago, and we just kept going with Coach Gooch, and I appreciate the opportunities that I have here.
Well, you talk about success. 19 consecutive trips to the NGCAA tournament, 8 JAC Conference team championships, 7 Region 6 team championships, 2 District 3 team championships, and then you throw in 8 NJCAA All-Americans, 6 Ping NJCAA All-Americans, 6 individual league champions, 6 Region 6 league champions, and a couple of District 3 individual champions. It's been quite a 20-year run.
It has, and I've been pretty lucky. When I took the program over, we were Division II, and we went back to Division I, and still playing in Division I, but having the scholarship limitations in the JI Conference of being only Division II school. So Coach Stang really worked with me as far as being able to get a little more money as far as recruiting and for scholarships and that type of thing. And then Coach Gooch is, he's a golf guy, and he loves all of his coaches, and he wants the best for everybody that works for him or with him, he would say. And he's just continued to help my program, not necessarily with the money, but with the interest that he's shown in everybody's program, but especially mine. And my kids love him, and he's always invited to practice, and he's invited to all of our tournaments, and he just does a great job with our team and our chemistry, and the kids all know him from day one, and he's one of the big reasons why we've had the success as of late, because he's so supportive, and anything you ask for, not necessarily money wise, but just the little things as far as being able to play a course a couple of times before you play a tournament there, he allows that and stuff like that. But and success kind of breeds success. I got lucky with a few recruits early in my career here, and once you have some success, high school kids start looking at your program because they want to be part of something special, and we just kind of snowballed on the in-state part of things, and then you get lucky with a couple of recruits from the UK or Australia or wherever, and then they know somebody that might be interested in coming over here, and then it just kind of snowballs there too. And we've been pretty fortunate with some of the kids that we've gotten. I mean, I'm not saying all of them have worked out, but the ones that have worked out have helped the program, and it's just getting stronger and stronger from that aspect.
Well, I've always enjoyed my time and my association with the program, and with both of us being Nebraska natives, that's another thing that we have in common that we always continue to talk about. So always great time hanging out with you, Chris, and thanks so much for taking some time to speak with us today.
Carp, I appreciate your time too. Thanks.
That was Chris Young, head men's golf coach at Hutchinson Community College, and that'll wrap up another edition of Conversations with Carp. We'll talk to you again soon. So long, everybody.